Hello and welcome. You're watching The World 24/7. I'm Vedant Agarwal. Coming up on the show, well, the developing situation in Bangladesh, also the Ukrainian incursion into Russia that continues for the 6th consecutive day. We'll get you all the latest on that. But first up, the headlines. The Ukrainian incursion into Russia continues for the 6th day. Zelensky says the attack will restore justice. He accuses Russia of attacking the nuclear plant. The Israel strike on Gaza school kills nearly 100. The White House says it's deeply concerned over the strike. The Israeli strike also on the mosque and the school sparks global outrage. Israel orders more evacuations. Meanwhile, in battleground Gaza, Kamala Harris leads Trump by 4 points in 3 swing states, a dramatic shift for Democrats in the U.S. polls race. Harris leads in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. The Bangladesh interim government vows to fix minority attacks. This as Bangladesh Hindus protest against the violence. Our lead story on the world news this morning. Well, Ukrainian President Zelensky has confirmed Kyiv's troops are fighting inside Russia days into the surprise Ukrainian cross-border incursion into Russia's Kursk region. In fact, this is the 6th consecutive day for which the situation remains similar. There you can see those dramatic visuals coming in, and now Zelensky has confirmed that Ukrainian troops are fighting in this vulnerable area of Russia. Listen in.
Кілька разів вже доповідав головком Сирський щодо фронту та наших дій і витисканню війни на територію агресора. Дякую кожному нашому підрозділу Сил оборони, які це забезпечують. Україна доводить, що дійсно вміє повертати справедливість та гарантує саме такий тиск, який потрібен – тиск на агресора.
And moving now to the other big war unfolding, well, at least 93 Palestinians have been killed in an Israeli strike on a school and mosque in Gaza, sheltering displaced people, and this according to local officials. And this has sparked international outrage. Well, the White House says it's deeply concerned over the strike. International foreign leaders have also condemned Israel's attack on Gaza. Take a look.
In one of the deadliest strikes in the 10-month-long war in Gaza, an Israeli strike hit a school-turned-shelter in Gaza City, killing at least 100 people and injuring dozens more. Saturday's strike targeted the Al-Taba'in school, where displaced people were performing the Fajr prayer. The Israeli military has claimed that it hit a Hamas command center within the school. However, the death toll has led to international outrage. Various countries and organizations around the globe have strongly condemned the attack. The Egyptian Foreign Ministry has claimed that Israel's deliberate killing of so many unarmed civilians just as ceasefire negotiations are intensified is conclusive evidence of the absence of Israel's political will to end the war. Qatar has also strongly condemned the attack on the school and has called for the dispatch of independent UN investigators to probe the ongoing Israeli targets. Other West Asian nations such as Jordan, Lebanon, and Iran have called the airstrike a blatant violation of international humanitarian laws. In the West, UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy and Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong quickly took to Twitter to urge Israel to comply with international humanitarian law. The White House said it was deeply concerned about the civilian casualties, stressing the need to take measures to minimize civilian harm and negotiate a ceasefire deal.
Yet again, there are far too many civilians who've been killed. I mean, Israel has a right to go after the terrorists that are Hamas. But as I have said many, many times, they also have, I believe, an important responsibility to avoid civilian casualties.
Meanwhile, Israel has ordered more evacuations in the southern Gaza city of Khan Yunis as fear of wider regional war continues to linger. Samia Afsar for NDTV World.
Absolutely tragic there. This Israeli strike exacerbating the already grim situation. But moving now to the other big headline on the world news this morning. Well, with just 3 months to go for the US presidential elections, Democratic nominee Kamala Harris has taken the lead over her Republican counterpart Donald Trump in 3 crucial swing states, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania and Michigan, the latest indication of a dramatic reversal in standing for Democrats after President Biden's departure from the presidential race remade it. Well, according to recent polls conducted by the New York Times, between August 5 and August the 9th, Harris leads Trump by 4 percentage points with 50% to 46% support among the over 1,900 registered voters across the 3 states. This marks a shift from the previous surveys that showed Donald Trump tied to or leading former Democratic candidate Joe Biden. Harris has seen a significant bump in favorability, up 10 points in Pennsylvania, with independent voters viewing her as more intelligent and temperamentally fit to govern. Trump still leads on handling economy and immigration. However, Harris has a 24-point advantage on abortion, which Democrats hope will mobilize voters in swing states like Arizona and Wisconsin. So, of course, a dramatic shift there for Democrats after Joe Biden decided to pull out of the race. And with this, the race for the White House has become even more keenly watched and interesting. And moving now to the situation unfolding in India's neighborhood. Well, there's no end to the crisis and unrest in Bangladesh, and India is keenly monitoring these developments, particularly the situation of minorities in Bangladesh. In fact, the latest is that Mohammad Yunus, the head of the interim government in Bangladesh, has called for a crucial meeting as far as the situation of Hindus is concerned in Bangladesh. Remember, there have been back-to-back reports of attack on minorities, attacks on Hindus as well. And Mohammad Yunus says that the focus is on protecting the Hindus. In fact, Narendra Modi, in his tweet congratulating Mohammad Yunus, had also called for protection of Hindus and some sort of monitoring of the situation as far as the minorities in this country are concerned. With that, we'll take a short break now, but news continues right here on NDTV. Welcome back. You're with the World 24/7. The big diplomatic headline. Well, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has concluded a crucial visit to Maldives. Remember, this was the first high-level visit from India to Maldives, and Maldives becomes all the more important for India after the situation that is unfolding in Bangladesh. It was a comprehensive meeting with Maldives' Mohammad Muizzu, and it also comes perhaps weeks or months after Mohammad Muizzu visited India for Prime Minister Modi's swearing-in ceremony. Our colleague Mohammad Ghazali, who tracks the Ministry of External Affairs, is now live with us. So, Ghazali, talk to us about the key takeaways of this particular visit. Economy was a clear focus, also security and defense.
See, there were certain MOUs which were signed between the two countries related to defense as well as public health projects, which Mr. Muizzu appreciated in his tweet as well later, or in his statement he issued later, saying that how happy he was to meet the External Affairs Minister of India. Later, the External Affairs Minister of India, Mr. Dr. Jaishankar, who concluded his visit, counted on multiple projects. Like there were some projects of water treatment and sewerage plants in Maldives, and there were some projects related to specific islands in Maldives, which India has been funding. But the major MOUs which were significant in this particular trip were related to the digital payment. So Maldives doesn't have that kind of infrastructure to promote digital payment, and they have signed an MOU with India, where India will be guiding the digital payment or UPI transactions in Maldives. And Dr. Jaishankar said that perhaps in coming years, Maldives will also start having digital transactions or UPI transactions there. The second MOU, which is very important, was the training of civil servant or the civil services officers in Maldives, which will be done in collaboration with India and Maldives. The joint training will be done for the Maldivian civil servant officers. And besides that, what was very significant in this trip was that both the countries, or representatives of both the countries, had changed their tones of what we had seen before the swearing-in ceremony in June of Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his third term. This time around, Mr. Moizu kept talking about that how India is the close ally, how he values the association with the neighboring country. And also, India also spoke about that how Dr. Jaishankar in his public address there in the press briefing as well, he spoke about that how India has been assisting Maldives, not just in economic terms, but also when it came to vaccine during the COVID era. During COVID times, India sent medical supplies, vaccines were supplied, and not just in the last 4 or 5 years, but Dr. Jaishankar spoke about that how India and Maldives have been very close allies since 60s when Maldives was became an independent nation.
All right, Ghazali, thanks very much for joining us with all those details. In fact, also joining me on the World News this morning, Aditya Shivamurthy, Associate Fellow of Neighborhood Studies at the ORF. Thanks very much, Mr. Shivamurthy, for being with us. My first question to you, the fact that Mohammad Muizzu has called India a closest ally, is a defining moment in Indian diplomacy and contemporary diplomacy, and perhaps, an emblematic of the fact that India has been able to walk that diplomatic tightrope with Maldives while maintaining, that not only is Maldives important for India, but even for Maldives, India is an important ally.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, from the tone that we had seen since Muizzu came in as the president to what we are seeing now, I think there has been a significant departure in his tone of anti-Indian rhetoric, in his tone, in how he perceives India. And I think, yes, this message has gone out quite clear. I think since the early days when Muizzu was in power, India continued to be an accommodative, had an accommodative foreign policy. In fact, they went on to offer budget assistance of 770 crores last year. This year it has been 400 crores. But apart from that as well, I think India has offered around an extension of 50 million US dollars when the foreign minister was here in Delhi last time. And that also shows that when Maldives' economy is under a deep crisis, the debts are at all-time high and the repayments are to be made soon. India is giving a stronger message that we have been accommodative and we'll be there at your times of distress. And I think the Maldives government has also now realized that it needs India more than any other country needs it right now.
That's right. In fact, what does it mean, the shift from an India out policy to calling India a closest ally? What does it really mean? Because there was a lot of backlash in Maldives as well, the Maldives domestic politics at play as well, and also economically, given the fact that tourism is one of the most important pillars of the Maldivian economy, which is why India becomes so significant for Maldives.
See, I think a couple of things, right? One, again, the economy is doing really bad. And I think for Muizzu, it has been crucial to improve relations with India and also get the financial assistance that India could offer. In fact, one of the sovereign bonds that were issued to Maldives will be expiring next month, and which is worth 50 million US dollars, and Maldives doesn't have that capacity to repay these debts. So you are seeing a significant change in tone. And in fact, you'll also have to acknowledge the fact that the domestic politics Muizzu has some control over right now, which was not the case 5-6 months ago. In fact, with the parliamentary election, now Muizzu has a complete majority, and I think he's now more flexible in terms of having a India policy, and in terms of his U-turn, I don't think he's sensing any criticism coming from his own party, because now that he has a control of his own party, I don't think there is any significant controversy, significant criticism coming towards him. But yeah, definitely, I think a lot of things have changed. There was tourism, a number of Indian tourists going to Maldives significantly reduced. In fact, a lot of these, a couple of weeks ago, the Maldivian delegation was here to promote tourism itself.
Right.
And now that the fact that they're also trying to have UPI between India and Maldives, UPI transactions. So I think that also is a significant step to boost tourism in the Maldives, and yes.
All right. Thanks very much, Mr. Shivamurthy, for being with us. As Mr. Shivamurthy is saying, Maldives becomes all the more important for India, given the fact that the situation in Bangladesh remains on the edge. It remains precarious, which is why India needs to strengthen other neighbors. meanwhile. But moving now to some other news, well, a major heat wave is being witnessed in Italy. 14 cities are on red alert. Top holiday destinations in Italy are experiencing heat wave. There's an extended heat wave in Rome as well, which has been, there has been a heat wave since July. In fact, the forecasters predict the hottest weekend this year as well. So, of course, this is a clear impact of climate change, the greenhouse effect as well. Pretty concerning, the situation in Italy. And finally, Britain's love affair for Indian curries and cuisine is strengthening. And how? Well, fighting off the hot competition, Leicester has been crowned as a curry capital of England for 2024, home to a thriving Indian diaspora population and exceptional South Asian culinary offerings. This prestigious title to Leicester, the Leicester city in UK, also underscores the pivotal role the Indian diaspora is playing in promoting and preserving the country's rich culinary heritage. Take a look at this report.
If you are in Britain, especially if you're in England, and if you happen to mention either of these two words, curry or cricket, there's a good chance that you will have heads turned towards you. India's many soft powers continue to play a crucial role in bilateral relations with nations world over. With Britain, the ties are extraordinary given its history. We take you through a tour to see the performance of curries, Indian curries such as chicken tikka masala, vindaloo, madras korma, and their role in teasing the British palate. Fire and explosive with rich flavors, the Indian curry is a celebrated star across Britain. For the first time, Leicester, the bustling city with over 100 restaurants Indian in just one street, famously called the Golden Mile, has now been granted the title Curry Capital of England. From gold shops to sherwanis to saris, Leicester, home to the largest Indian population, has everything you need. But locals say no curry means no Leicester.
We always felt that we are one of the best cities in the country, not just for curry, but as the most cosmopolitan sort of city in Europe. You know, I always say Leicester is sort of the poster city for multiculturalism in the world, and multiculturalism is best defined by what people eat. And in Leicester, we have such a diverse community, which means such a diverse variety of restaurants from all corners of the world. But Leicester is predominantly and mostly known for its South Asian or subcontinent, Indian subcontinent population. I'm Bangladeshi, but we have great cross-section of Pakistanis, Indians, Nepalese. Recently, a lot more Southeast Asian people have moved in, giving more of a choice for food.
There are more than 80,000 employees working in the curry industry in Britain, which is contributing an estimated $4 billion each year to the economy. From curry houses, many are now being recognized as restaurants, given there are over 12,000 across the country. The industry has a mix of Indian, Bangladeshi and Pakistani restaurateurs.
Chicken tikka masala, butter chicken, and that's for non-veg, and the paneer, and of course, and vindaloos and jalfrezi. That's what we call ours, the British people who are really known for. But now in these days, we got so many dishes. We got coming from Nepal or from African background. So we have a chicken machusi now. We have a desi chicken curry coming from Punjab, home style cooked. So many varieties and so many spice we have, and over the year that spice level and spice culture is grown.
I love curry. I wasn't introduced to curry as a kid. As a child, my parents ate very much basic, bland English food. But when I left home at 18, joined the military, I started to get introduced to world foods, and certainly curry became one of my favourites.
Curry is an English word originally derived from the Tamil word curry, meaning a sauce or one you relish with rice or roti. The term was borrowed by East India Company, which in the 17th century traded with Tamil merchants in the Coromandel coast. Radhika Iyer in Leicester, NDTV.